If you want to let go of past pain, transcend your traumas, expand your consciousness, and reclaim your power to finally be the main character of your own conscious reality, as well as learning about conscious living, you're at the right place. Welcome to Conscious Matters. It's a safe space where we chat about conscious matters, focus on self-empowerment, awareness, holistic wellness, and sustainability. Join me, Melissa DiVieri, for inspiring conversations with myself and some of the most beautiful souls out there. We expand on our experiences and share what we've learned along our healing journey to live in peace, harmony, and mindfulness on a daily basis. Oh, and share with loved ones, and don't forget to take 5 little seconds to review this podcast by just leaving a few stars and kind words. That would really help with the algorithm, so we can spread the message to help more people live consciously. Get your mind, body, and soul ready for a ride in consciousness. Namaste, listeners. German philosopher and revolutionary thinker in Western philosophy, Friedrich Nietzsche, said, "You yourself will always be the worst enemy you can encounter. You yourself lie in wait for yourself in caves and forests." Okay, so how many of us have had this wonderful idea or new project to take on to level up, or something specific you want to move forward with in your life, something small or even something big like a career change or a move? Everything feels amazing. We get super excited to just end up sabotaging ourselves, self-doubting, procrastinating, struggling to get back on the horse, literally wasting so much time before even starting anything, and end up just going back to square one. Please tell me I'm not alone. Please. So for my own sanity, I'll just assume that you said, "No, Melissa, you're not alone. We're with you on that." I know, actually, I hope that you're not with me on that and that you transcended this cycle. But anyways, unfortunately, as a result, this pattern prevents us from growing, expanding, reaching our wildest desires, and truly living the life we aspire to. And if you relate to that, keep on listening, because it's specifically what I'm going to talk about today and what I've been going through lately, to be fully transparent. If we're so many people self-sabotaging ourselves while being fully aware that it hinders our growth in accomplishing our great goals, why do we keep on doing it? And most importantly, like, how can we stop doing that? I'll try discussing this subject in a way that helps us reframe the scary part of our ego, from battling with our inner critic to releasing fears to finally taking action, while not forgetting to explore the laborious phases of self-doubt, procrastination, and lack of motivation. I won't be acting almighty, talking on here as if I figured out everything. Full disclosure, I procrastinated like crazy, with a big C, capital C, to work on and release this episode. I don't know what happened. I mean, I know now what happened, but like, I've never procrastinated that much on an episode other than the one, ironically, about self-sabotaging. So maybe it was something that I needed to experience to be able to add more into that episode. So just to say that I haven't cracked the code yet to fully stop self-sabotaging ourselves, but I think I kind of grasped a few elements along the way. So I'll share what I've understood until now. So I'll start with battling against our inner critic in the trenches of self-doubt and procrastination. Then I'll move on to uncovering and releasing our fears by using the best weapon against self-sabotage. I won't say which one it is now. We'll get into it. Actually, there's two, but yeah, keep on listening. We'll figure it out together. Let's start with battling against our inner critic. We all have an inner critic, or an inner saboteur, as you want to call it, that plagues our goals, dreams, and prevents us from embracing being a misfit. You know, that inner critic, the one that is manifesting itself through negative self-talk, dissing us when we're trying to do something new or just in a different way. It triggers our anxieties, our insecurities, leading to self-doubt and eventually stagnation, materialized in a form of procrastination, lack of motivation, or simply giving up altogether, depending on how strong that inner critic comes in at this moment. But we don't want that now, do we? So let's break them down and see how we can overcome our unconscious and unconscious limitations. Self-doubts. I mean, we all familiar with that. It usually stems from our limiting beliefs. When it comes to self-sabotage, I believe that our limiting belief around self-worth are the one that are much more at play than any other. The one that makes you believe, oh, that's all that I deserve. Like I don't deserve more, even though you it's the bare minimum or it's literally crumbs, depending on your own self-worth. Negative self-talk stemming from limiting beliefs can easily lead to a lack of motivation and giving up on the thing that are most important to us, at least the thing that will help us materialize our great ambitions. Like, the thing that you really want to do, but feel blocked to actually do or take action on it. So remember, our limiting beliefs are stuck in our subconscious mind. We've talked about this subconscious in many episodes. If you want to take a deep dive into it, like feel free to go back to the previous episodes. You'll find many about the subconscious. But just as a reminder, the subconscious mind is the part that controls 95% of our life. That is absolutely not logical, only communicating to the conscious mind through emotions, dreams, imagination, memory, the part of our brain that takes everything literally by receiving information through our different senses. And it's also the part of our brain that is 1 million times more powerful than the conscious mind, among many other things. So no wonder why our limiting beliefs can get so strong and persistent, despite what our conscious mind is telling us. So I'm a huge fan of Brene Brown, and she has this thing or theory that, butchering her words, of course, that pretty much say that we don't know how to accept joy, that we all have a kind of happiness threshold that gets switched on at different speed depending on the type of limiting belief we have, and depending, of course, also on how deep they are ingrained within us. And following that theory, which I find pretty fascinating because it's so close to the truth, if not the truth that many of us are facing. Usually when we're in a good place in life, everything is going so well, or when we're so close to accomplishing our goal, it's when we tend to self-sabotage because of these illusions that makes us stop before even starting, or when we are actually so close to the goal, almost touching happiness at our fingertips, that we start self-sabotaging. She has this example when, I mean, I guess that you can relate if you're a parent. That's what she says, that when the kids are sleeping, the parents usually go to their room, making sure that they're sleeping, I guess. And then they find their little angels like feeling so cute, like everything is so tranquil and peaceful. And suddenly they have this switch in the mind saying, oh my God, I need to check if they're breathing right, like hoping that they're not like dead or anything. I think that is such a funny example. And once again, so close to the truth, because it's when we feel like everything is so nice that in the back of our mind is like something bad's gonna happen because it's not normal that everything is going so well. So I guess that's what she means with the happiness threshold that gets switched on at different speed. And why? Because like this thing that tell us it's gonna be a danger or something's gonna go bad is usually the self-doubt, like self-doubt that is not possible, that everything can go smoothly and well. And all of that, as I said, all of the self-doubt and limiting beliefs are stuck in the subconscious mind. But good news, the silver lining with the subconscious mind is that it is built on habits, which means that you can feed what you want to your subconscious by simply mindfully choosing which habits you indulge in. Our mental training is even more important than our body training or our food diet. I'm not saying that the body training or food diet is not important, it's super important too. But I believe that our mental training is even more important because once your mental state is healthy and strong, everything follows suit. But as usual, it takes work. So I guess for the self-doubting is back to the subconscious and really making sure that you have good habits or mindful habits to make your mental state healthy and strong. But when it comes to procrastination, is usually the result of the self-doubts. So as a result, we keep on holding on to our desire, but stay stuck, contemplating, wishing, and hoping, overanalyzing, kind of analysis paralysis. type of thing, that we can get ourselves to do anything. To me, procrastination is not releasing the controlling part of our ego, wanting things to not only unfold in a certain way, but we also get attached to a specific result. And we end up being so afraid we won't manage to attain that exact replica of what it looks like in our mind. It has to happen this way and in that timeline, that we can't get ourselves to do anything if we're not moving in that sense, like in the sense that we have designed in our brain. Instead of letting go and just do it, we take on the habit of delaying every major task we have to do, even if it's only a small one that we have to do. It doesn't even need to be major. And we manage our guilt of not doing it by doing the most random stuff instead, things that either help escaping the reality of the actual urgent task at hand that makes us freeze up. Like we will binge watch shows, read a bunch of fiction novels, go out with friends, get lost in music, or finding ourselves doing the most random research, raising more questions, leading us after hours to an even more random research tray on Google and diving into the depth of the internet. I don't know if I'm alone with that once again. I mean, it will look different for everyone, but the common denominator here is that we'll focus on easier, less urgent, less important, and more enjoyable things to do or to go to, like seeking a quicker reward instead of the one that we're supposed to get from the important task we are afraid to tackle. So we can clearly see that laziness is not even in question here, since we're doing a bunch of things, or I'd rather say everything, but not what we're supposed to do. We're not focusing on the actual task that we're supposed to do, but we're still doing things. So someone lazy is not doing anything. Yet we are undermining ourselves and restricting our potential by procrastinating. And most of the time we say to ourselves, like, I don't feel X. It can be anything. I don't feel pretty. I don't feel confident. I don't feel skilled, or whatever enough. Taking actions feels overwhelming. So we end up holding ourselves back. We keep on playing small. We believe that it feels safer this way when we all know the reality that is not safer at all. And we do believe that it's only when we'll feel the way that we want to feel that we'll be able to achieve what we desire. So why on earth do we keep on doing that? That's the $1,000,000 question. As a general rule, I think we have a much higher chance of tackling a problem when we understand its root cause. Self-sabotaging comes from fears. We're afraid of something. As a result, it prevents us to act on the thing that triggers fear in us. Never mind how much we want it, our subconscious fixates on the fear, and that's enough for us to freeze up when it comes to it. Maybe our past self encountered a similar situation in the past and received a backlash instead of the expecting reward. So our subconscious registered that this very thing that we want to tackle is dangerous, even if consciously we know that is not the case, and quite the contrary, actually. So since we're being tricked by our brain, it's our responsibility to uncover not only which fear we're dealing with here, but also the root cause of whatever fear or fears we have to be able to transcend them, take action, and get the reward of whatever thing we were striving for before self-sabotaging. And understanding the behavior of self-sabotaging as such actually comes down to dealing with our fears and nothing to do with being lazy, as I said before, because it's actually a trauma response. When fears is involved, usually it comes from a traumatic experience or something that really shakes you to the core. Except if you honestly using self-sabotaging as an excuse to be lazy, but then again, we have to be fully honest with ourselves. So I'll assume all of the people listening here are very honest with themselves. So let's take self-sabotaging as being a trauma response. If we go back quickly to the joy threshold that we talked about before, what Brené Brown said, the joy threshold triggers so many past wounds and fears that our mind is trying to protect us from. Fears stem from our thoughts, and that we can manage to surpass them. Once again, most of the time, no one is holding us back. if not our own selves. Or I'd rather say, because we were talking about being trauma response, is not actually us or someone else holding us back, but our own fears holding us back. So the fear can come from a limiting belief learned from someone or somewhere. It can come from a recent trauma or a very old one that you barely remember, but the robust computer that is your brain, with its subconscious greedily amassing every single detailed moment of your life, even before birth, from the tiniest moment to the biggest one, it has not forgotten and will act like it. So, yes, our fears are usually a result of what we have been experiencing or what we experienced and projected to us from society and loved ones, but it's still our own fears. Others are not causing them. They are still our stuff, our responsibility to handle, to take care of. So once we pinpointed and understood our fears, we can finally befriend our inner critic, inner saboteur, letting them know that it's okay. I understand it was trying to protect me, but now that I have rationalized the situation, there's nothing to be fearful of. Or even if we're still scared, which is normal, by the way, reminding ourselves that we're safe now. We now have the mindful tools to bounce back, reminding ourselves that all is well. And that process is very personal because you're the only one who knows what you've went through, what fears are triggered when you think of something or you want to do something. So it's very personal, and you have to go deep within and once again be fully honest with yourself to be able to finally befriend your inner critic. For me personally, the two things that I'm having the hardest time fully overcoming, even if I've been working on them for a few years now, it's perfectionism and the fear of failure. It's so incredibly much better than what it used to be, but it still come back in great force, but not in full force, in and out of my brain. It's so strange because I clearly and consciously know that there is no such thing as perfectionism. I've been talking about it even here. I know that it's an illusion. So, what's the point of trying to reach something that doesn't even exist? But it's been ingrained in me from such a young age that it's like trying to get rid of super glue on your fingers. I mean, arts and craft people, you remember, it's super hard to get rid of super glue from your fingers. And same with failure. Like, I know that failures are just a bunch of lessons for me to learn from, to grow from, and to try again, much better prepared to reach a better result. But because of past experiences, and I know exactly which ones, it's like sometimes my brain refuses to accept that truth, which means that sometimes the old wiring, despite the rewiring of my subconscious, gets triggered and overcome my conscious mind, which makes me stuck into the self-sabotage cycle, even if I have the knowledge. And in these instances, I feel completely frozen in fear. Like all the non-rational self-doubt keeps me stuck. One part of me doesn't want to believe any of it because I know it's a bunch of BS. And that part is motivated to take action and move forward. However, another part of me is scared. And when you're scared, you don't move, you're frozen. You cannot do things. I mean, you can do things, but not what you're scared of. And going through this cycle time and time again, I realized that whatever I'm feeling is actually okay. And now I'm learning to honor all of these parts of me, giving my body permission to let those emotions, self doubts, and fears pass through to allow me to feel safe, to relax now. And it's only when I'm relaxed, when I'm in the present with those feelings, living in the right here, right now, not in the past, nor in the future, but like in the right now, that I can release the pressure to be perfect and to never fail or any other fear that is holding me back at the given moment. Yeah, so it's very strange though, but when you take a step back, it helps you understand better. And when you understand something, it's easier to solve. I don't want to say the problem. I mean, it kind of is a problem when you self-sabotage on, on important stuff, but is when it's easier to overcome the obstacle, I would say. Not necessarily easier, but it gives you more grit to do what is necessary to be done. And I also came to realize that there is beauty in accepting and embracing contradicting parts within us. In a way, it's like fully recognizing the complexity of us just being humans and not perfect little robots. And that, my dears, will lead to finally taking action. In other words, acceptance and taking action are the best weapons to release all fears. Moving away from our comfort zone, also embracing the new fears that come with the fact of starting something new, the excitement, but also the discomfort, the newness, but also feeling a bit scared. And finally, being at peace with the ambivalence and discrepancy of our feelings. But how do we do that? I mean, I kind of gave a few processes away already, but how do we do that, you might ask? I don't know. I don't know, but I'm trying to figure it out. Like mentioned earlier, some or even many of the fears which block us, for the most part, other fears are actually good to have, by the way, because they're actually a warning from a real actual danger. So all fears should not be dismissed, but understood. But apart from those ones that are useful, many of the fears are well ingrained within us for months, for years, or even decades. So it's no walk in the park trying to tackle and overcome them. Absolutely not saying that it's easy. So please forgive yourself for getting stuck in the self-sabotage mentality from time to time, even if you've been working on it. We're on the same boat. Remember that you're not alone. It's not all on you. Like we said, usually it comes from traumatic experiences. It's not simple, but more complex, like discussed before. Plus, I would say that self-shaming or shaming in general has never improved anybody's life. So don't do that. Self-shaming is not cool. As always, having this awareness now of what's actually going on is primordial. So just to go back to how do we do that, the question, after this little disclaimer of being more gentle with yourself and forgiving yourself, taking your time to, I would say the starting point after awareness, of course, would be to go back to your why. Why are you trying to achieve whatever you're trying to achieve? Maybe a goal of yours, a challenge, accepting or refusing an opportunity, whatever, really. Why do you want it? Why does it speak to you? Why does it evoke something inside of you? Why do you feel like the reward you'll get from achieving it or getting it will bring some joy and happiness into your life? Because at the end of the day, we're all striving to live a happy life on a day-to-day basis. So most of the thing that we're trying to achieve is because of the feeling that we're gonna get from it, which usually is happiness. And also, I would say, like, it's important to ask ourselves, why is that very thing we're sabotaging right now is the thing that you want and or need to cultivate happiness in your life? So when you figure that out, or simply came back to your why, check in with your own perception of reality and be honest with yourself. Once again, don't say the thing that you wish you would say or things that other people want you to say, but focus and voice your current truth, your individual truth of right now, not the one from the past or the future, but like right now. What is your truth? Why checking in with your own perception of reality? Because it helps see how we can become irrational sometimes, to see when and where we let our limiting beliefs rule our decision making instead of what is actually in front of us right here, right now, instead of what our mind encountered in the past. Because most of the time, we're not even acting on our current reality, but we're reacting to something that happened in the past or acting on our anxiety of the future. So, yeah, I do think it's really important to ground yourself, to center yourself, to check your own perception of reality, to be honest with yourself and voice your truth so you can move through life more intentionally and more aligned with what you actually want, but like from a soul level. And once aligned with your why and having your current reality honestly in check, we do have the groundwork done and a solid foundation to start off reframing our thoughts, to go from fearful to fearless, to get out of our own way and to stop being our own enemy. So important. And that part is very individualistic based, like very personal, because even if there's a limited amount of fears all humans come across, we don't all have the same ones. Or even if we have the same ones, which it's impossible to all have exactly the same ones, but let's say that we do, they're not going to be at the same degree. And also, we all have a different perception of our reality since our eye, our lens was trained differently as a result of our own life experiences and core personality. So in any case, that part is crucial, even though it's personal, it's crucial to make our subconscious mind work with us instead of against us. Once again, befriending your inner critic, your inner saboteur, and rewiring our thoughts to be able to have this 95% of our brain work in accordance to what we desire the most and not be the one putting like tons of obstacles in our path. If I have to summarize, awareness, coming back to your why, getting your own perception of reality in check, and then reframing your thoughts, that is what will lead us to finally becoming unstuck and taking action. It doesn't have to be this grand, big thing that shakes up everything. It can be the smallest step ever, but at least a step that makes us move forward. What personally helps me a lot every time that I'm in that procrastinating, detrimental behavior for my potential is to do everything, like all of the steps that I said, but especially at the end is to break my final goal in small digestive steps. Like even the smallest step, even though it's like one action a day that will take me 5 minutes, but like, because it's just about getting started, getting into the groove slowly but surely, which will eventually get the ball rolling and get you to the place that you want to get to. And when you feel that resistance, when you start getting too much in your head, notice how uncomfortable you feel, slow down if necessary, but keep on moving forward. It's that action that will give your mind the signal that it's safe to keep on pushing and moving onwards. So do that little action. Keep on talking yourself up by repeating a positive affirmation, for example, while doing the action you've been dreading and constantly postponing, but just get the thing moving. Get yourself moving. So that's what I've figured out for now. As I said before, I didn't crack the code yet, but it helps. All of that helps to move in, not going to say right direction, but like a direction that you actually want to go towards. Breaking through the old pattern of self-sabotage is really hard, but it's not because it's hard that it's impossible. Remember that you're not alone and it's possible to push through our fears one small action at a time. We all have a part to play on this earth during the time that is individually allocated to each of us. So let's stop getting in our own way and holding back from our greatness. Let's fully commit to our journey on this earth. Activate this clarity with self-awareness, self-love, and radical self-acceptance to be fully self-empowered and live as the main character who designed the life they desire, transcending all fears and overcoming all obstacles. In other words, standing in our own power, creating our new reality fully aligned with our soul desires, and unlearn, release everything that hinders that, such as self-sabotaging with, at its core, limiting narratives of unworthiness and scarcity. We deserve so much better. We do deserve so much better. So let's get rid of this self-sabotaging patterns, mentality, behavior, and let's embrace life at its fullest. We got this. Come on. As usual, you know where to find me. All the links are in the show notes, including the podcast Instagram, which is conscious.matters. Also, don't forget to check out the blog post of this episode at www.yu.com/consciousmatters in one word. That's a wrap for me. I'll talk to you soon. Take care.
You know who made it.
Thank you to have taken the time to listen to me talking about conscious living. Conscious Matters is a self-produced podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please share, leave a review, and/or donate. Your support will help to keep on raising the collective consciousness together. Take care and talk to you soon.